with the story, okay? So the story we're going to be working with today is called The Two Travelers, and it's adapted from a fable by Aesop, okay? And so just to keep it consistent with even yesterday's teacher model, we want to make sure that we use our graphic organizer to organize our thoughts, okay? And the reason why this particular graphic organizer has arrows pointing to different boxes is because when we are finding the theme of the story, we want to make sure that we organize our thoughts in a specific order to help us get to what the lesson of the story is. So I wanted to make sure I kept it consistent with using our Unravel strategy. As you can see here, I have really, annotated a lot of this story here. And this is what I hope that you guys are also doing as well with your stories. It's just using, the tools to annotate your text, okay? Now here, I have underlined the title, first step in our Unravel strategy. And so, although we're not going to actually go in and read this story, we are going to kind of glance over different aspects of our story so that we can talk about theme, okay? And so keeping that in mind, let's look back at our graphic organizer, okay? The characters. So the first box in our graphic organizer is talking about who our characters are. Somebody really quickly in the chat box, let's see who's going to put it in the chat box first. Who are the characters in our story? Even if you didn't, have a chance to read for whatever reason, you can just look up here on the screen really quickly. Let's see. Throw it over in the chat box. Who are our characters in this story here? Make sure you mute your background. And let's see who's going to put in the chat box first. Who are the characters? The characters are who?
Ashton made it first.
Ashlyn, I see. Yeah, the first man and the second man. Great job, Ashlyn. So now, here's the challenge. What are they doing in the story when the story starts off? What are they doing? Let's see who's going to get it. Let's see. It might be Ashlyn who's going to put it over there. What are they doing at the first part of the story? First man and the second man are
Mustafa first.
I see Mustafa. They are traveling. Okay, so they are traveling. They are on a trip and they're traveling. Okay, so let's keep it consistent and take it back to the story. Okay, so as we can see here, in the first paragraph, it just goes ahead and it lets us know that these two men are planning a trip. They're traveling. Okay, now, what was that really important promise that they made at the end of the first paragraph? Think about it, because it was something that they said to each other at the end of the first paragraph. Let's put it over here in the chat box. What did they promise each other? Because I think that this is really important to note this, because it's going to allow us to understand the lesson that the second man learns by the end of the story, okay? And this is why this is important to really note what exactly was promised at the beginning of the story so that we can get to the lesson that's learned by the end of the story. So let's see who's going to put that over there in the chat box. What did they promise each other? See who's going to get it first. I'm watching to see who's going to get it first. I know you guys over there typing really fast. Oh, Jabari. They both promised if they run into danger, they would stay by each other. Very good, Jabari. I just read your response out. Very good. That is exactly what they promised each other. I even underlined it here because I thought it was really important information in order for me to understand the lesson that was being learned, okay? And so, when we're going through paragraph 1, 2, and 3, it just gives us that background. Okay, they're traveling. It's the first man. It's the second man. Okay, it gives us that background as to when we're going to encounter what the problem is. Because see, the second box here, so we know that as we find who the characters are and their importance, well, now we have to figure out, okay, well, what exactly is the problem in the story? Because we know that there's a lesson being learned, so we got to identify the problem. Okay, so as you can see here, on top of paragraph 4. I wrote on here problem, and I wrote like 2 question marks because I wanted to find out what the actual problem was. And so when I found out what the problem was, I underlined it. I said, oh, the problem is when the bear rushed out of the woods at them, okay? So as I write what the problem is over here. Someone tell me what the first man was doing. What the first man immediately done as he saw the bear rushing out of the woods. Somebody in the chat box tell me, what did the first man do? So this is really important that we don't confuse the first man and the second man. So what did the first man do? Jabari is on it. Yeah, Jabari is on it. You said he climbed on the tree. That is correct. So what did the second man do? As he was on the ground, I think that this is really important. What did the second man do? As he was on the ground, what did he do?
Jabari got it again. He must have read his story.
Yes, Jabari is letting us know that he has familiarized himself with the text. So has Mustafa. So Jabari and Mustafa here. I'm sorry. I think this actually may be y'all classmate calling me. So all right, let me decline that. Okay, yeah. So he lays on the ground and then he plays dead. Okay, that was a very smart move because it's probably what I would have done too if I would have seen a bear. Now, I think that knowing this changes the trajectory of the story. Okay, so now we're getting into the plot twist. Y'all remember plot from your do now, the events in the story. Now we're getting to that twist. Okay, because here we have the two travelers, and then we also have the bear who has that's the danger there. Okay, now what do y'all think is happening with the promise now? Because they're in the site of danger. Put in the chat box what you think is happening with the danger. Go ahead and put in the chat box. What is actually happening with the danger now? Because remember, they promised each other if they ever met with danger, they would stay by each other's side. Now that danger is here, what is exactly happening with that promise? Oh, Mustafa put in here. The first man broke that promise. Okay, so it points me to the question I had here on the side. Was he really being a friend? Was the first guy really being a friend? Did he keep his promise? Well, Mustafa and he has let us to know that no, he didn't. He actually didn't keep his promise here. At the first sight of danger, we can all see, like you guys have put in the chat box, that the first man ran up the tree. He was only there to save himself. Okay, and so the second man had to think quickly and just play dead. Now, let's look at our graphic organizer, because now let's tap into what exactly does the character learn here. Okay, what lesson do you think the character learned? As we go down from paragraph 5 and 6, we noticed that with him playing dead, it actually worked. The bear ended up walking away. Now 7 and 8, paragraph 7 and 8, that is where we tap into what the second man actually learned. So someone put in the chat box here. Actually, I want all of you to put in the chat box. Tell me, what exactly does the second man learn here in this whole entire lesson? Because remember, from the start, they make a promise. Then the promise is broken. So although, him being smart worked, the bear walked away, but what exactly does he learn in that whole situation? Oh, Shania said that he was not being a friend. Very good. He wasn't being a friend. Who else had something to share? Go ahead and share out. Yeah, he actually, the first man wasn't being a friend at all. And so that he had broke that promise, like Mustafa said earlier. So the second man learned that the first man, did he lie or did he tell the truth? Did the first man lie or tell the truth? Somebody added in the chat box. Did the first man lie or did he tell the truth? Based off of what Mustafa said, he broke his promise. So did he lie or did he tell the truth? Let's see who's going to put it in the chat box. Oh, Jabari said he lied. And then also, let me look at Jabari. I'm trying to read your actual response on what he learned, but I don't know. I think it went away. Oh, okay. Jabari, he learned that he should never make a promise with him. Jabari. That is awesome. So he learns that the first man actually lied. Okay. I think that with reading this story, I don't think the first man ever intended on keeping his promise and standing by the second man's side. So I'm gonna add that in there because I think that's really important to note. He never intended on standing by the second man's side in the sight of danger. Oops, sorry. Now, I know this because the first time that he actually had a chance to keep his promise, he broke it immediately. So I think that lets us know that, hey, you know what? He actually never intended to even stick with the promise. I think it was just something he said because, hey, they were on a trip and, that's pretty cool. I think we all can relate to this, in life where we're thinking we keeping a promise with a friend and then, they break their promise and it's kind of disappointing here. Now, with knowing the lesson that the second man learned, what is the theme of the story? So think about friendship, think about trust. Put in the chat box, what is the theme of this story, The Two Travelers? What is the theme? Very good. I see Tyrese put in there that he lied as well. Good job, Shania, Tyrese, Jabari. So now what I want you all to do is put in the chat box what the theme of this story is. And while you're writing out what the theme is, think about trust, think about friendship, because those are some of the common issues that are brought up within this story. Think about friendship. And I want you to be reminded that when you come up with the theme and when you're writing it in, y'all please make sure that it's not specific to just this story. The theme should be universal, okay? It should be something that can be applied to many different other stories, not just to this specific story. So let's see who's going to add in their theme. Jabari said, don't trust anyone. Okay, Jabari. Very good. Mustafa said, people don't always keep their promises. Okay. All right, Mustafa. Let's see your other responses here. Y'all keep those responses coming in. So far, we have Mustafa. He said that people don't always keep their promises. And we also have Jabari, where he said that don't trust anyone. Now, I like what Miss Lewis asked Jabari. Think about this. Don't trust anyone at all. Is that what you mean by that? Khadijah says sometimes people are not what they seem. That is a great analysis from reading our story, Khadijah. I like that. People are not always, who they seem to be. And I think that can be addressed universally through, different stories, or we can just even take that with different people. The theme is two men Davion. So Davion, let me read your response out. The theme is two men who went traveling and they made a promise and the first man did not keep the promise. So going back to what we said earlier, Davion, the theme should be universal, not just specific to this story. Okay, we should be able to use this theme like what Khadijah wrote. Sometimes people are not what they seem. That is a universal theme because you can use that for many different other stories, novels, movies. And I think people are not who they always seem. I think that does go along with not being able to trust some people. But like Jabari, you said that don't trust anyone. I think that there is room for you to rephrase that with saying that some people just can't be trusted. Okay, I don't think that everyone should not be trusted, but some people should just not be trusted. But I think it goes along with what Khadijah said, is that sometimes people are just not who they seem to be. Okay? Sometimes people are not who they say they are.